first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some of my really useful delicates papers, which are on my Etsy store, and if you go there this weekend, there is a 30% discount. Then want you, oh, you'll do. So I'm going to pull out 2 sheets. And I'm just going to trim off just along 2 sides the straight edge to get rid of that white border. So there and there. I'll do it with just 1 sheet for now so that you can see what I'm doing. So you can see I've trimmed off here and here the white edges. Then I'm going to put it in my scoreboard. And I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. 1.5 inch. 2.5 inch. 3.5 inch. You get the picture, don't you? 4.5 inch, 5.5 inch, 6.5 inch, and 7.5 inch. Don't think that last one's going to work, but okay. Then I'm going to cut these at 1 inch intervals. So put the edge of the paper up against the 1 inch. And cut. So that basically now that crease line, that score line, is in the centre. And then I can fold it in half and burnish it. And then another 1 inch. And again, fold along that score line. And then I can burnish that down with a bone folder. Okay, so it looks like that. You'll see these in a little while. In the kit that I recently sold, I included one of these pages from out of this book that I got, which is a hardback children's book. So I included one of the pages, if it'll open, from this book within the pack that everyone got, okay? And that would be one of the pages from out of the book. Now, to be able to create a back for it, if you want to make it into a book rather than using it maybe as a bookmark, is you'll need to place this on a piece of grey board, cereal packet or whatever, trace around it and cut it out, and then cover it with decorative papers. Okay, now I am going to show 2 versions of how to make this book. For those that have got this, you need to be aware that you've got this straight edge here. All right, whereas on the one that I'm going to show you in a minute, it's got a straight edge all the way up to the top. So that's the only difference between the two. I also chopped a little bit off the bottom to make sure that it was going to fit. I forgot one to hand. So that it was going to fit height-wise on the paper that I've got, okay, which for me is A4. So I just had to chop a little bit off the bottom to make sure that it was going to fit on my paper. For those of you that didn't get the kit and didn't get that book page, I have done this as a freebie on my Kofi shop. So there's a Peter Rabbit facing one way and a Peter Rabbit facing the other way, so that you'd have that one as the front cover and that one as the back cover. Now I've printed it onto a thin cardstock, and I've got this pattern cardstock here, and I'm going to glue each one of these onto the back side, and then I'm going to cut it out. Let me twiddle it around the right way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as a straight edge down this side here, and I'm going to cut, fussy cut around the shape on this side. So I'll go off and go and do that, and then you can see what it looks like once it's cut out. So I'm leaving round about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around the outline. Now if you're not very good at sort of eyeballing 1/8 of an inch, you can draw this out with pencil and then cut on the pencil line. So now I've got a front and I've got a back, and I'm just going to trim across that top edge there, which is where the pattern finishes. I think the same across the bottom too. Now there won't be a perfect match, but they won't be far off. So you can see there's a bit more of an overhang on the front one. Not so bothered about that. I could rectify it by moving that across maybe, and just trimming down that back edge. But I think it'll leave it a little bit skewy, so I think I'm going to leave it as it is. I've inked up around all the edges on both sides of the paper, or of the covers. Now I'm going to make the pages. So I'm going to use just tea dyed paper in this one. I'll have you. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to use 6 sheets of paper. Now because the back cover is fractionally smaller than the front cover, I'm going to use the back cover as my template. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around the shape on each page, lining up this bottom edge, if you can see that. So I'm lining up this bottom edge and this long edge here. And then I'm just going to draw around it. Now it's going to be a little bit tedious cutting all these pages out, but you will have created a unique journal. And I'm going to cut, where's my squizzers? There they are. I'm going to cut on the inside edge of the line, not the outside edge and not on the line. I'm going to cut fractionally inside that pencil line. And I'm going to do this on all 6 sheets of paper. So rather than you watching me tediously cutting out these pages, I'm going to go off and go and do this. It'll take me a few minutes, but for you it will be but a few seconds. So I'll see you back here very shortly. Okay, so I've cut up all my pages ready to go inside my cover. Now, they're not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, a blind man would be happy to see any kind of mistakes. It needs a little bit of trimming off there, a little bit of trimming off there. I'm not going to bother. All right, now, if you were... just take those out a minute. If you were using the book covers or the pages that I sent you in the kit, obviously you would cut it slightly differently, because where I've got one long straight edge for this cover, I would need to cut around this part here, so I'd only have the straight edge here, and then obviously the shape would be cut out from around this side here, all right, which makes it slightly smaller, but it still gives you a decent enough book. So these are the strips that I cut at the very beginning of the video. So they want to be the full length of the actual cover itself, so I will need to trim a little bit off the bottom edge. Now if you're using the pre-cut page from out of the kit, then obviously you'll need to cut them just to that length, which is that straight edge there. All right, so put them there, and I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to place glue, do it that way, just on that one side. And you don't want too much glue, because you don't want too much glue oozing out, and that will stick to the inside front cover there. And we want that folded edge lined up with the edge of the card cover. And at this point I can chop off that excess. Then I'm going to put some more glue on the other side, so that now looks like that. Fold that over, glue on this side. And then I'm going to stick my page on top. Making sure everything's as lined up as it can be. So that will then open like that. Okay, fold that over, and then I'm going to put glue, so the fold is on this side and the open edge is on this side, and put glue on there. Now you can use ribbon or fabric. Probably wouldn't use washi tape unless you were gluing it in place, because it's not quite strong enough. And then line that up with the edge again. glue that in place. Chop off that bottom edge. And then glue on that side. And I'm going to continue doing this with all of the pages and glue the last one onto the front, onto the back cover. So I'm going to go and crack on with this, and I shall be back. That's my pages and my covers now all bound together. A little bit of excess glue, just making a couple of the pages stick together, but that will soon dry out and sort itself out. And there we go, that's the back cover. So next thing is I got myself a piece of self-patterned fabric, which I'm going to attach to the front and the back. So I'm just going to snip this to about 1.5 inches ish, and I've just snipped it, and then I'm going to rip it. Okay, make sure it's long enough, and I've sorted out some lace that I want on there too. So I'm just debating whether to put the lace on and then the fabric on top, or the fabric on and then the lace on top. Yeah, I think I prefer the lace underneath. So let me just mark with a bit of a pencil. So that's going to come to about there. Do a bit of a line. Okay. Glue. I'm using my fabric tack glue for this bit. Just draw a line of glue down there. Add the lace. Long scissors, correct scissors. And then some more fabric tack glue on top of that. So that will lay over the top. And just trim off that excess. Then I can fold that round to the back, and I'm going to apply this, leave a little bit of space, so I'm going to apply it loosely. Put the glue on the fabric, that might be easier. It doesn't come out in one continuous line, this glue. Take it in a little bit, but leave the middle bit with no glue on, so it's almost like allowing the fabric to breathe. And then that can fold over on the top, like so. And then once that glue's dried, I'll just trim off some of that excess fabric. But that will be, so you can see it's a little bit loose on the edge there, but it means that when I open it up, it will do this funny little dink in there with the loose fabric. If it was all glued down, it would be too tight and wouldn't lay particularly flat. So all I need to do now is add a closure, and I can call that one done and dusted. So again, if you were using the cutout that you got in the kit, then that is the edge where you would attach the fabric to, and all of this would be loose up here. Of course, you could do right the way up to the top as one long straight edge. Just means that there would be no pattern in this area here, just your papers showing through. But quite a unique little journal, I felt, and lovely for Easter too. One maybe for the kids, or put some photos in of the kids at Easter. And then I'm going to go through all of my pre-cut elements from the Peter Rabbit kit, and add some of these bits and pieces inside of the journal too. So there's some envelopes. There's also these images which are meant to be tags. Now there's no reason why you couldn't use these as a cutout, just in the same way as I've done with the journal that I've just been showing you, and cut around these shapes and make a much smaller book. Anyway, just some thoughts and ideas. I hope it's inspired you to have a little think about your own Peter Rabbit Easter journal. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all again really soon, and I've got some more ideas for Peter Rabbit journals. Okay, see you later. Bye.